This is the first solution video for the challenge I called Mega Challenge War. We're just going to build the game War, and let's go ahead and get started by creating our project Mega Challenge War. And I think the game plan is going to be, at least in this video, is that first of all what I want to do is just kind of set everything up like we're doing right now. And then the second thing that I want to do is start creating some classes. I know I'm going to need a game class. I want that to kind of control the entire experience, the entire game, what needs to happen next, what's the winning conditions and things like that. I know I'm going to need a player class because I want something that will hold the cards to represent the given player. I know I'm going to need a card class to represent each card in a deck of cards. And then I'm going to create a deck class. And the deck class will have the responsibility of creating new instances of card, holding on to them in the deck until the deal method is called, in which case it will deal randomly one card to one player, then another card to the other player, and remove the card from its deck and give it to the player's hand, the cards that they're holding on to. So we're moving the references from the deck to each of the players until we run out of cards. So that's the game plan. If I can accomplish that in this video, it'll be successful. So obviously the first thing we want to do is set up our web page. Let's go ahead and do what we've always done here. And this is very anticlimactic. I probably should have given you some more graphics to mess with, but I'm really more interested in creating classes, working with references, things of that nature. So I'm not worried about the aesthetics of the application this time around. And we're going to have a play button. All right, and so this will obviously kick everything off, and we will call into the game object and then delegate the responsibility to the game object to control the logic from that point on. The default.aspx.cs will only be responsible for any aesthetics, presenting things back in a result label to the user, retrieving the click event from the user. That's all it's responsible for. So there's a good separation of the responsibilities there between the presentation and the controlling logic. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. That'll become a prevalent theme as you continue on throughout this series, and then when we get to the application architecture series about separation of concerns and what that really means. Okay, all right, so let's create some classes here. I know, first of all, that I wanted to create a game class, and it won't have much to begin with. We'll obviously want to allow the player, allow the user interface to determine how many players. We're going to hard code it at 2 for this time around, but let's continue on here. I know I'm going to have a player, so let's go ahead and create that class. I know I'm going to have a card, so let's create a card class. And then I'm going to create a deck. All right, like so. All right, let's focus on the deck. For example, I know that I'm going to hold on to a private collection of cards, 52 cards to begin with, until we call a public void deal. All right, and we'll worry about that later. But what we'll want to do is public deck, and we're going to create the new deck of cards right here in the constructor. So I know that I'm going to want to have a private list of card called deck, like so, and I'm going to need to create a new instance of that first thing here if I'm going to indeed create those cards. So let's go deck equals new list of card, like that. We're in good shape there. All right, let's go to the card class, because what does a card have? It has 2 pieces of information. It has a suit, that would be clubs, hearts, diamonds, and spades, and then it also has a kind, that would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king, ace, right? So let's just do prop tab string the suit and prop tab string the kind. All right, hopefully you see how this is all coming together here. We're going to go back to the deck now, and we have some options, and when I was originally creating this example, I started out by populating the deck like this. Deck dot, well, actually I would do something like this: new list of card, and I was going to start by creating using a collection initializer. So new card, suit equals clubs, and then kind equals 2, comma, new card. And hopefully you can see that the problem here. This would take forever to do this. So there's actually an easier way to go about this. Let's get rid of that. And instead, let's do deck equals new list of card. And then I'm going to create two arrays of strings. The first array of strings will have the four suits, and then the other array of strings will have the 13 different kinds of the cards. And then we'll iterate through both of those arrays and make combinations in order to come out with 52 cards, an entire deck. So string suits equals a new string, and we'll go clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. All right, and then we'll create the second array. So suits as we kinds equals new string, and here we go. This is going to take a while, but it's less laborious than the first technique we were going to use. And you might even come up with a better one. I'd love to see what you come up with if you have a quicker, easier way to do this. Sometimes you just can't get away from a lot of typing. All right, that should be it. Now, I never demonstrated this before, but in addition to the for loop that you can use with arrays, you can use for each, just like you use for each with collections. And in this case, it's going to be a little bit more elegant. So for each var suit in suits, and then for each var kind in kinds. And then what I can do is deck.add, and I need to give it a new card, so let's go new card, and we'll give it the suit equals the suit, and the kind equals the kind. Very cool. All right, so just to make sure that I've done this correctly, we can actually create a new deck of cards. I'm going to temporarily make this into a public field, which again you should never do, but I'm going to do it anyway this time around. And what I'm going to do is create a new deck here when somebody clicks on the play button. So let's say a list of cards, list of card, deck equals new, or new deck. All right, that should call the constructor. We should have a deck now. We should be able to for each through it. So for each tab card in deck._deck, our public field, and we'll just go result label.text plus equals break then card dot suit plus, whoops, don't do that, plus a space plus card dot kind. All right, now, why am I not getting the love here that I want? Because I'm a knucklehead. Duh. All right, everything's happy now. Okay, kind. That threw me off a little bit. Let's go ahead and test this. We should have 52 cards. Yes, look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, very nice. We can delete all this. There are better ways to test our code. We'll talk about unit testing in a whole other series about unit testing, but for now we're just going to do this down and dirty technique. I'm going to turn this public field back into a private field like it should be. And now we're going to work on the deal. And my idea here is that you're going to pass in your players. In this case, we're just going to hard code to 2 players, and we'll loop through the deck of cards and randomly give, or actually, let's do this. Let's use the while statement and continue looping until there are no more cards left in the deck. That means we dealt a random card to the first player, a random card to the second player, a random card to the third player, a random card to the fourth player. The players, their what is it? The card property. We haven't even created a property. I think we're just going to call this cards. Yeah. So prop tab. Let's go string. Let's go name. Come on, cooperate. And then we're going to go prop tab, and we'll do list of card called cards. All right. And so what we'll do is we'll loop through until we have removed the cards from all the cards from the deck and added all the cards either to player 1's hand of cards or player 2's hand of cards. All right, again, what's the problem here? I'm an idiot. That's the problem. There we go. Got to get in the right set of curly braces. Sorry about that. Okay, back to the matter at hand here. Let's go back to deck. We're going to pass in 2 players. So player 1, player 2, and now while our deck dot count is greater than 0, so while we still have cards in our deck, then what we're going to do is deal a card to each player. Deal a card to each player randomly. So when we use the word randomly, we're going to need a random class. Let's go ahead and create a private random. I don't know that we need to do this because in our case we're only going to deal out the cards once, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it around as a private member here at the very top. In fact, let's go ahead and just do random equals new random like that. So we have it around, and so what we'll do is player1 dot cards add, and then we're going to take the deck dot element at, and then we're going to need to give it a random number. So random dot next, and I guess this can be the number of items currently in the deck from 1 to the number of items in the deck. So we'll need to do deck.count. All right, that's quite a bit to have in there. I might split that up because we're going to do the same basic thing here to player 2. Actually, this needs to be 0, or actually let's just leave it off. I always get a little bit confused with that next method. Okay, then I need to remove it, that particular card. You know what, it's starting to feel to me like this is a whole other little helper method. So I'm going to actually create a private helper method. So private void deal card, and it's going to take one player, and what its job is basically is to get a reference to a card in the deck. So again, we'll do this deck element at business and then give it that random dot next, and then give it the deck dot count. That part really doesn't change much, but what we need to do is add it to the player's cards like so. And the reason why I did it like in line 50 the way that I did it, because I still need that reference to remove it from the current deck. So we're going to go deck.remove card, and now we should be in good shape there. So now all we have to do is we'll go deal card player 1, deal card player 2, like so. Now, how do I know that each of the players have their cards in hand? Well, I'm not crazy about this, but I'm going to go ahead and create another private string builder SB, and then SB equals new string builder. Whoops, string builder. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just something like this, SB.append. And I'm not crazy about how I'm going to approach logging in this lesson. There's going to be a better way to create what are called cross-cutting concerns, things that I'm going to need across all my classes potentially. And we'll continue to evolve that idea over time. But this seems kind of clunky to me, that we're assembling all these strings and ultimately giving it back. I think there's a better way to do this, but with the tools that we have in our tool belt at this moment, I think this is the best way that I can get this done. So I'm going to do sb.append the player's name, sb.append, and say is dealt the, and sb.append card.kind, sb.append of, and then the suit, sb.append, and then card.suit. All right, like so. Whoops, card.suit. All right, and since this is a private variable to our class, a private field, I can access it here with the deal. And I don't know, here, let's return a string. I'm, again, not really crazy about this. Return sb.toString. All right, so whoever calls this, in fact, the game will go ahead and call this. So let's go public game. We're going to need to create two instances of player. So player 1 equals new player 2 equals new player, and let's go ahead and let them pass in the name. Player 1 name, string, player 2 name. Not a requirement, but it's a nice to have. And we'll just go ahead, name equals player 1 name, like so. And name equals player 2 name, like so. All right, so we've got our player set up, that's great. And now what we want to do is create a new deck. So deck equals new deck, and we're gonna say that should give us the cards, and so we're gonna go deck dot deal, passing in player 1, player 1, and then player 2, and it's gonna return a string. So Yeah, actually, yeah. No, this doesn't belong here. It belongs, it doesn't belong in the constructor. It belongs here in the public, I guess I'm going to have to return a string, play, like so, and we'll call that like that, and string, or return, that should work. But I'm missing player one. Let's make these private fields. Yeah. So this is not uncommon. You just have to keep... I like to often say that writing code is more like molding a statue out of clay than chiseling it out of stone. You're forming, you're pushing, you're pulling, you're primping to get it right. So even this needs some adjustment. Private, there we go. So don't expect to just write code once and never touch it again. To get it to look right, to perform the way you want it to, you're going to need to revisit it, tweak it, touch it, mess with it until you get it just right. Like so. It's a little bit closer to what I had in mind here. Why are you not happy? Oh, duh. And player two, like that. Okay. All right, deck. Well, I don't know if we need a deck after this, so I'm just going to put that into play. Like so. All right. And then underscores are all around. All right. Good. And then what we'll do is call, so game equals new game, and then game.play. Oh, here we need to give it some names, right? And I'm going to be unoriginal here. Player one and player two. All right, let's see what we get here. Oh no. All right. What did I forget? The cards collection. Okay, so whenever we create a new player, we gotta new up this list of cards. So public player, and so cards equals new card. Whoops, list of card. There we go. There we go. All right, that should fix that problem. Uh-oh. It's not going to like something. What did I do wrong? Oh, you know what? Still not doing this right. Game.play is going to return a string. So result label.text equals, right? Why are you not happy? Okay, there you go. Now this should work. Okay, player one, spades, diamonds, clubs, king, 10. It's kind of hard to see it. I guess this would help with patterns until you reach the bottom. King, spades. Doesn't seem to be any discernible pattern, so I guess I'm happy about that. And I didn't count these, but it looks like about 52. So if that's the case, then we have we've succeeded in getting set up, creating our real fundamental classes that we needed for this project, and creating the deck of cards and randomly dealing them out to each of the players. The deck will be empty. The players will have the cards and will be ready to start playing at that point. So we're going to stop right here, and I'm going to pick it up in the next video and continue on. We'll see you there. Thanks.